Alright, Pokemon fans, we're about to jump into round 3 of the Independence, Missouri Premier Challenge at Game Cafe. This is a best-of-1 tournament, so the teams are wacky and wild. In this battle, we're going to have John Masters versus Carl, I want to say Schomburger, but I don't quite remember the last name, so Carl it is. So on the left, again, you see John's team, who had on stream last round, using Mimikyu, Aegislash, Jellicent, Sableye, Marowak, the Alolan form, and Palossand. On the right, we have Carl's team, which is Salamence, Slowbro, Amoonguss, Snorlax, Incineroar, and Tapu Koko. So we've got a Mono Ghost team coming up against what looks kind of like one of these mixed room teams. You know, there's a strong trick room mode there with that Slowbro, Amoonguss, Snorlax, Incineroar, and also a fast mode, you know, because Tapu Koko is super fast. Salamence, especially the Megas, out of the common Pokemon in the format. So Snorlax is going to have a little bit of trouble against John's team, given that its primary attack of either Return, Frustration, Double Edge is going to be completely ineffective. So we may not see Snorlax because it's going to have to rely on coverage, which are usually, you know, things like High Horsepower or Stomping Tantrum. Does it get Stomping Tantrum? But yeah, like, it's normally going to have to rely on coverage moves, which maybe you don't want to do as your primary source of damage. This Amoonguss could be very threatening. However, as we saw last round, John's Sableye can Mega Evolve and would then be immune to Spore. It would bounce it back. So that wouldn't be a bad way to go. Alright, so we see Carl leading with Salamence and Incineroar. So this is 2 Intimidates coming down, which is going to be kind of a big deal, except we've got likely 2 special attackers. So the Intimidate's not a big deal, unless Aegislash happens to be a physical attacker. Most of the time they're not, but when you're taking Mono Ghost, who really knows? So Aegislash and Sableye are on the field. Aegislash is going to be threatened by that Incineroar. Incineroar is going to be able to deal a lot of damage in general to this team, just because when everything's a ghost type, dark types are going to be strong. It's going to resist the primary stabs of everything that John throws at it. It's quite bulky. It's going to be able to deal a lot of damage. Salamence also going to be able to deal some damage to this team. Just general, you know, aerialate boosted attacks, so it can use Return or Double Edge or Frustration or whatever normal type attack move it wants to, or even Hyper Voice, as we've seen sometimes. Carl deciding, I still need to preserve Intimidate so it doesn't Mega Evolve, switches straight into Amoonguss. Amoonguss isn't going to have the physical presence, the offensive presence nearly as much, but it can definitely deal some damage if it so chooses. So Sableye Mega Evolves, goes with a Nasty Plot. We had a switch, and then both other Pokemon on the field protected. So Sableye gets to set up a Nasty Plot for free, doubling its attack, or doubling its special attack, rather. So that's going to set Sableye up in a way that it's going to be able to start dealing damage. And Aegislash went for the King's Shield, you know, hoping to catch Incineroar, attack into it, you know, dropping its attack in that regard. But because Carl chose to protect his Incineroar as well, didn't get the chance to drop that attack with move connecting into King's Shield. So right now, Sableye, definitely the biggest threat, just because of its ability to boost and its immunity to Amoonguss, essentially, because Amoonguss can't score it. However, Amoonguss, not wanting to put things to sleep, goes for the Rage Powder, and I have no idea what Z-move that is that we just saw. Not super used to these dances. Oh, but it is the Firium Z Inferno Overdrive. If that's going into the Jellicent, that's going to be busting the Z-move into a not very effective Mon. So that was a really good switch John's part, Jellicent still takes a decent amount of damage, but definitely considerably less than Aegislash would have. And the Shadow Ball, with a critical hit into Amoonguss, deals just about 70%, which means it is going to be in range to be taken out on this next turn. So Jellicent took a lot of damage. You know, even though it resisted, it was a strong Z move coming out. So it does need to watch out because there could be like a knockoff coming that's going to deal a ton of damage. However, Incineroar goes for the Flare Blitz into Sableye, and that deals a respectable amount of damage, about 50%. As Amoonguss goes for a Sludge Bomb, also into Sableye, so Amoonguss going on the offensive doesn't deal a whole lot of damage, but you know, it does put the Sableye in range for another Flare Blitz, and we do see John go for the Trick. So that's actually a really interesting call to have made, because Amoonguss could have just spored the Jellicent. It's probably faster than Sableye. I know Mega Sableye's speed is 20, and if John is trying to take advantage of this Trick Room, so unless he knew that he had, you know, made his Sableye to be faster than Amoonguss outside the Trick Room, that was a little risky, but it did pay off. And so in comes Tapu Koko. Now, Tapu Koko is going to be a very big threat to Jellicent. The problem is, right now, it's going to have to take an attack before it gets to attack due to Trick Room being up. So Tapu Koko, the fastest thing on the field, going to be moving last, and so it could potentially have to take 2 attacks before it gets to fire off. You know, it could Dazzling Gleam into Sableye, or it could just T-Bolt or Volt Switch into Jellicent. Probably pick up a KO if it sticks around long enough to do so. We'll have to see. We know Incineroar can't be carried. Well, the Incineroar has already revealed the Z move, so it's not the Assault Vest variant, but it's going to be tough to see if it's able to take an attack from Jellicent, as the Scald does connect. So John just decided, you know what? KO my Jellicent. I don't care. I don't need it right now. Goes for Recover. That way he can survive this attack from the Incineroar, and attacks into the Incineroar Scald. Should be able to pick up the KO on it next turn with another Scald. And is honestly going to have to, because right now it's not so much damage that it's forcing him to play a little bit more. It's forcing John to play a little bit more offensively with a Sableye than he probably wants to, given that, you know, he's got it boosted and everything right now. So now could be a time. Carl definitely wants to get rid of some Pokemon. Obviously, that's the goal. But he needs to kill Trick Room turns in order to really take advantage. And so we do see he sends out his Tapu Koko into Salamence. Both of these fast Pokemon are just going to really struggle in Trick Room. So he's really got to get some board positioning in order to make use of his fast Pokemon. So we do see Incineroar go for the Protect. The Shadow Ball's connecting with Salamence. At +2, it deals about 50%. Decent damage. May or may not be able to take it out on the next turn, because I do know, you know, if Salamence Mega evolves, it's going to get boosted defenses a little bit, which is going to make it a little bit more bulky. So good Protect on the Incineroar there, keeping it around, you know, just doing. Carl's doing what he can to stall out the Trick Room turns in order to regain the speed advantage and start dealing damage. However, he's taken a lot of damage in doing so, and so it might be a little bit too little too late by the time Trick Room does finally come up. Alright, so Salamence does go for the Mega Evolution now, no switching out any. That is going to boost its defenses a little bit, as Sableye goes for a Dark Pulse into the Salamence, and that barely misses the KO. However, Scald into Incineroar finishes that off. So Carl's got, this Double Edge is going to deal damage. It KOs the Sableye, but because of the recoil, Salamence is going down as well. So that's a strong turn in John's favor. You know, 2 KOs for 1, setting the game as a 3-1. You know, so Marowak coming in. We're going to see Tapu Koko coming in for Carl. This is going to make it really tough for Tapu Koko to disregard that. I'm anticipating Marowak to be Lightning Rod. Last game, we saw that it wasn't because it didn't take recoil damage from Flare Blitz. However, if Carl doesn't know that, he may just go for a Dazzling Gleam anyways. If he does that, Marowak's got the chance to take the game. So Tapu Koko goes for the Protect. Trick Room is still active, and that needs to end before Tapu Koko is able to do anything. Bone Meringue goes into the Protect, dealing nothing because of Protect, and Jellicent just goes for Recover, knowing that if the Bone Meringue connected, would have been game. It didn't really matter, but this covers for if Tapu Koko did Protect, give Jellicent the best chance to survive on the next turn as he can. So it looks like Carl not willing to gamble on if that Marowak is Lightning Rod or not, and honestly, that's the smart call in my opinion. More often than not, they are Lightning Rod, and I don't think it would have mattered because he would have had to take, unless he's got Discharge, he's going to be taking only 1 KO per turn. Would have been in a tough spot. So Bone Meringue does connect with the Tapu Koko, picks up the KO, and that's going to send John to 3-0 in this Premier Challenge tournament. So he's having a strong showing right now with this Mono Ghost team.